Okay, so in this video, I want to look at what you can learn about a church from looking at its income statement. Sounds kind of weird, right? Um, but if you ever heard the saying, um, your money is where your heart is. So basically, the kind of assumption that saying is making, wherever you're spending the most money, typically is where, you know, well, where your heart is, where you're spending the most money on stuff you care about the most. Um, so, for example, if all of your money is going to pay for a big mortgage, then typically that means, um, a good sized house or a good sized property that you value that's a value to you. If a lot of your money is going to a car payment, then typically that would mean your car payment has high value. And then, I'm trying to take it to, like, I guess, a level of like a church, and the kind of idea I was thinking is, what if at the end of the year, the pastor and the board or whatever would sit down, look at the income statement, and see what the highest cost was. And, you should probably exclude like building costs and maybe salaries because that's kind of stuff that's almost impossible for any church to avoid. A church typically has to pay for a building, which means they're paying a mortgage, paying taxes, whatever. And if they're paying salaries, they're probably have a couple people on staff. They have to pay for health insurance, stuff like that. Um, so, anyways, once you go past like the requirements, then I think it's an interesting thing to think about if you were to sit down and look at your church's income statement and see what the highest department, like the highest spending is on the sheet. Um, and from I haven't spoken to every church or anything, but some of the churches that I've interacted with, from what I found, some of the high costs they have don't really seem to fall back into their mission statement. So let me give you an example. Let's say I have, an income here. I don't know. This doesn't have anything on it, but maybe it'll help for presentation. So like right here, just pretend there's words, income statement, whatever the date is, 2014. Um, and you have like all your big expenses, like I said, that you can't avoid: building, salaries, etc., taxes. Um, but the next kind of area of expenses you can control. Let's say the highest expense on this income statement is like digital media cost. And like what I mean by digital media would be like like website maintenance, email maintenance, all the lights on stage, all the guitars, all the instruments. I know a lot of churches are now using like this thing called in-ears, which is like a monitor system for people on stage. All the graphic design programs people pay for. Like I know a lot of churches pay subscriptions for like websites that might make like stuff from, I don't know, like just a lot of like pre-made Photoshop stuff or just any pre-made like graphic design kind of thing. And like let's say that on the income statement, this is like the highest thing. It exceeds like all the other costs. Like you spent 40,000 on digital media cost, and like everything else you spent like, the next biggest thing you spent 20,000. So, the next biggest thing you spent like um basically you're doubling the, next biggest thing. So anyways, let me get back on track here. So yeah, let's say you're spending 40,000 in digital media costs. And now let's go back. Every church typically has like a mission statement. And let's say like the mission statement for this church that we're talking about here, we're just, pretending that we're talking about a church. This church that is spending 40,000 in digital media costs, let's say that their mission statement is um, you know, maybe connecting people with people. Um, and so what I would question is, you know, in what way does spending 40,000 on digital media costs fall back into the mission of that church, which is connecting people with people. Again, this is all hypothetical. I don't have a specific church in mind. Um, but yeah, that's the main point though, of the video, I guess, is to challenge, if you're a pastor or if you go to a church, talk to your pastor maybe, and bring it up. Be like, look, what can we learn from our income statement? If most of our cash flow is going towards digital media costs, and our like mission statement and purpose is connecting people with people, how does having a high, expense for media cost, how does that fall in line with the mission of the church. And I could probably make a whole video on, like, you know, maybe like a biblical teaching of mission of the church and how that might fall in line. But, you know, I'm not, let's just say, you know, we're using this dependent upon the church's mission statement. I hope that made sense. So it's the first video. If it sucks, hopefully they'll get better over time. But yeah, thanks for watching.